All right, good morning, KW Milwaukee. On a beautiful Tuesday, June 18th. If you like saunas, this is the week for you. For those that are a father or act as a father, happy Father's Day. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Had a great weekend for Father's Day, had a great weekend celebrating. For those that are kids are in week 2, or for those of us that are crazy and are in week 1 of summer, I hope that 48 hours in that you're surviving. And we're ready to rock and roll. There's good things happening, and we're going to celebrate some folks today. We're going to give you a few observations, and I'm going to challenge the shit out of you. I'm going to challenge you in a way that I think that the group needs to be challenged, because I'm sensing a sense of energy amongst the group, and I'm going to give you a little bit of something to think about. And here's what, one other follow-up for you. I said this last week, but I'm going to reiterate this. With the changes in the industry, there's a lot going on, okay? And the only way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And so part of our strategy and how we're helping communicate to you is to not inundate you, to overwhelm you. It's to give you digestible parts. Okay? It's to give you digestible parts to help you understand what you need to do to keep moving forward, to keep your momentum going forward, and so that you don't stop in your inertia. Okay? And apathy is a real thing. Because here's what I'm noticing, and this is the part where I'll challenge you, and I'm probably jumping ahead, but I'll foreshadow for you. I'm noticing some apathy, and you know what happens when you have apathy? Leads to atrophy. You know what atrophy is? It's when you basically wilt away. And I'm noticing some atrophy amongst, I would just say, our industry in general. And I don't even know if I'm saying the word right. I probably am enunciating it slightly wrong, but I'm noticing some things right here in June where peers, or even amongst our own group, are allowing things to slip. And we have to think about what that is. So there you go. There's my foreshadow for the morning. All right. With that, mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Two things I'd point out. It's about lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving, and what it is that you leave. 2 things for you to know. 1, all of our offices are collecting food for Courage MKE for Pride Month. Guess what? You can go to Aldi, buy a can of beans for 68 cents. You can buy a lot of cans of beans for 68 cents. Encourage you, because food is something that people need, and it's amazing how limited access people have in our southeastern Wisconsin environment. Encourage you to do something about it and give something of what it is that you do, right? Second is a reminder, but also I think is an important educational moment and lesson for the group. Tomorrow is June 19th. June 19th, the offices will be closed in observation of Juneteenth Day. And last week I gave a little bit of a lesson around Juneteenth, but it's basically recognized, not basically, it is recognized as the second Independence Day for many Americans, because even though the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 2 years, it wasn't until 2 years later that all slaves were freed in the South that were still under Union control. And so Juneteenth was officially recognized as a federal holiday back in 2021. And so our offices will be closed tomorrow. And I've mentioned this last week too. There's an incredibly culturally rich celebration that occurs in Milwaukee that's been going on for 50 plus years to celebrate Juneteenth Day. If you haven't experienced it, it's an incredible showcase of culture and a variety of different really cool things throughout the day in Milwaukee. Feel free to check it out. It's a great way to get a diversity of thought, diversity of opinions, and understand what it is and why Juneteenth Day is important. So just as a reminder, our offices will be closed tomorrow in observation of Juneteenth Day. Next, from an operations update, you probably are sick and tired of hearing me talk about this, and this will probably be the last update I'll give to the group. So if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had a blackout period. We were doing some software integration to update our accounting software. Good news is, and I really got to give a shout out to the group. I'm just going to leave this here because all the other stuff doesn't even matter. I got to give a shout out to Emily Vandenbogard, Jen Turner, and Michelle Miller down in New Berlin. They processed, for those of you who had commissions the week of the 3rd through the 7th, all commissions were processed that week by Tuesday of last week. By Wednesday, we were back on schedule in terms of our processing turnaround times. So I got to give a shout out to Jen, Emily, and Michelle, who worked overtime last week to make sure that our processing times got caught up. Our backlog was filled, that you guys got paid on time. And now you can know moving forward that our processing times are back to normal in terms of, 48 hours, at most 72-hour turnaround time. At most usually happens at the end of the month because for whatever reason, everyone loves to have 60% of your closings the last 3 days of the month. But processing times are returned back to normal. If anything, they've gotten a bit more efficient in terms of their processes on the back end. You will notice a few updates to the group in terms of if you submit commissions in command or you have a piece of leverage in your life that submits your commissions in command. There is some slight changes and differences. This morning at 8 o'clock, I sent a note out with a few key pieces from an educational standpoint to help you understand what those differences are. There's also a video that you can watch inclusive of some really good Q&A that we recorded yesterday. I sent out to the group. Now, for those of you who do have leverage within your life, and I don't have access to who that is because they just don't see them or are not on our roster, if you would please forward that to them so that we make sure that we get you paid on time in an effective and efficient manner. Sound good? So shout out to Jen, Emily, and Michelle for really doing the Lord's work and getting a lot of things updated. So thank you. All right. Ooh, ready? Drum roll, please. Here's the drum roll. I hope you know that I am always your advocate. And my job is to be progressive in our thoughts and actions. I pushed hard to try and get aligned showings to where it is, and we're still pushing hard on the MLS. Okay. And I also recognize, quite frankly, the system isn't what it needs to be in order for you to do what you need to do in the most effective and efficient manner. So, as a brokerage, all 4 locations, every agent now has the choice. We are we are offering the opportunity for you to get back in to showing time, effective immediately. Okay. Now, hang tight. So your old showing time accounts should be reactive as of today. If you decide to stay in a line, that's totally cool. If you decide to move your stuff to showing time, that's totally cool. It's a you decision. I just want you to know we recognize the angst and friction, and we wanted to make changes in order to help you with that. Okay. Now, here's something else you need to hear me on. This won't be the last time you hear me discuss showing time, but I don't know what the future looks like yet. Because if you didn't know, showing time was suing our MLS for an antitrust lawsuit with regards to creating a monopoly on services. That lawsuit was settled, but the terms of the settlement have not been disclosed. And so I'm awaiting to hear what that looks like and how it impacts our industry and our MLS. Make sense? In the meantime, we're proactively working on this for about the last 2 weeks because the settlement was announced on like late Friday night. So we went and reactivated showing time for our associates. So if you choose to go back to the showing time platform, you now have access to that. Make sense? Sweet. Yes. Question.
Can you use one or both? You have to choose. I have to use showing time and not align, or
not my advice. Whatever platform you use, be consistent. Okay. Because you don't want to create a scenario where you're on a line 1 week and showing time the next and back on a line next week. And then all of a sudden no one has no idea how to schedule a showing on your listings. Cool. Be consistent. So, all right. Next up, we're celebrating May Cappers, and we have a large group to celebrate. So stick with me here, but it's an incredible group of folks. So first up, someone who I can totally relate to. She comes from a big family. She has 3 boys, and I understand what the chaos is of having a family of 3 boys. First to cap in the month of May, Corey Bolt. Congrats on capping in the month of May. Next up, this person's been in the business for, I think, less than 12 months. and is the epitome of when you put action into your world, you can get the results that you desire. Melena Cortez, congrats on capping in the month of May. Next up, I got to give a shout out to this person because sometimes life throws wrenches in your way and you don't allow it to get in the way of your personal life to get in the way of your professional life because you are steadfast in who you are, how you serve, and how you serve your clients in the fiduciary at the highest level. And I want to give a shout out to Carla Florence for capping in the month of May. Next up, an incredible person made a career change a few years ago, went through a little bit of a lull as she was starting, was trying to figure out what she wanted to do. And I kept telling her, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. The results will show up, and the results have showed up. Congrats to Angela Fung for capping in the month of May. I think this person is living their absolute best life right now. It's noticeable in their energy and how they show up. And I knew them from what they were doing before. Pete Gossman Jr., congrats for capping in the month of May. Next up, I've talked about this a lot, but this is an individual who has been in this industry for a long time, but moved from the state of Maryland back to Wisconsin to restart their business and has had really done a nice job of building their success. Sarah Hansen, congrats on capping. Next up, also an example of someone who was in a different market doing this business, had success, moved back here. Also, I would consider him somewhat to be as close to the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world. He's incredibly intelligent. You just need to get to know Noak, and congrats to Noak for capping. Hey. Next up, someone who's got a lot going on personally and professionally, a young mom doing flips at a really high level, has a ton of projects, great taste. Mara Krieger, congrats on capping in the month of May. Next up, this is an old dog who's been at this game for a long time. And but here's the testament to who they are. Okay. No, despite what the industry has thrown at us the last 2 to 3 years, this person, I just looked it up yesterday, this person's business is up 36% so far in 2024. Dusty, congrats on capping in the month of May. Next up, an incredible individual out in Lake Country, incredibly kind, continues to be consistent in what she's doing, has gone through the peaks and valleys in this business, but continues to fight every single day. Cindy Nagel, congrats on capping in the month of May. Next up, out in Tosa, this is one of those people that she walks into a room, she lights up the room, you feel better for every interaction you have with her. Karen Rapogli, congrats on capping in the month of May. Few more people who balance between a market in Florida and Wisconsin, is doing business in both markets while they're trying to figure out their next stage in life and being present with their grandkids. Congrats to Katie and Jeff Sayers for capping in the month of May. Next up, an incredible person in our Lake Country community. Shout out to her in terms of balancing what it takes to be on the leadership team and the expectations we have of leadership, but also still dabbles in the real estate game as well. Amber Sykes, congrats on capping in May. 3 more, an incredible individual over in Tosa, just a really solid person who never wavers in terms of what they're going through within this business. Carrie Tabor, congrats on capping in the month of May. 2 more. This is a great example of someone who parlayed what they used to do into how you build success in this business quickly, leveraged and understood that the database was determine their outcome to their income. Karen Trimble, congrats on capping in the month of May. Lastly, another incredible individual. You may not know this about them. They're a former attorney turned into a barcode instructor, hosts one of the most badass barcode classes in southeastern Wisconsin, and is also a mom of 3. Betsy Williamson, congrats on capping in the month of May. All right, flipping it over. I want to share with you some May and year-to-date results, and then I'm going to go into challenging this group. Okay. Because I think sometimes you need inspiration and aspiration in terms of what you're doing in order to get you through what it is that you are. So let's celebrate a handful of folks in the month of May. First up, the $1 Million Month Club in the month of May, an incredible group of folks, handful of people I want to shout out to: Elena Zeman, Aletha Champagne, Amy Merrick, Angela Funk, Bethany Clark, Betsy Williamson, Bridget Ty, Catherine Cario, Kathy Shaw, Corey Bolt, Danielle Forrest, Doreen Drummel, Ethan Masson, Ginger, Holly, Speranza, Janine Warner, Jay, Jean Jaskowski, Jill Fink, John Molitor, Karen, Carrie, Carla, Catherine, Katie Hart. Now, Katie Ranka, Kirsten Miller, Kristen Stohulik, Kirsten, blah, blah, blah. Lindsay Andrews, shout out to Lindsay. Great catching up with you yesterday. Laura Brewster, Mackenzie, Maggie Drain, Mara, Marcus, Mary Beth, Maureen, Megan, Molly, Natasha, Noach, Nolan, Rick Reuven, Robin McCormick, Ross, Sarah, Hanson and Reardon, Stephanie Miller, Steve Law, Tracy Lukic. Okay, $1 Million Months. That's great stuff. And that's a great group to celebrate, and great group who are pushing the group forward. Now, the next group is the group you aspire to be, and it's the Home Run Club. 1 listing taken, 1 contract written, 1 contract closed. This is a significant group in the month of May. And for those of you who know me well, I have horrible eyesight. So I got to give a shout out to this group, really, in terms of those that are in the Home Run Club in the month of May. And I desire for this group to be like the warning labels on things when you buy them, because it means a lot of people are doing really, really well. And take stock in just who's on this list, because this is the list that's pushing the industry forward despite the headwinds. And these are the people that you're chasing every single day, and who you aspire to be, who you are inspired by, or who you aspire to be. Okay. I would embarrass myself by saying, can someone read this for me? Also, shout out to those that had the highest percentage volume increase so far year to date: Levine Realty Group, Paul Schmidt, Shaquila Smith, Kirsten Miller, Sig Realty Group, Jean Jaskowski, Melissa Delzer, Dana Cornetti, my apologies, Melissa Delzer, Carrie Mahal, Janice Carruthers, Patrick Young, Steve Law, Nicole Maldonado, Nick Jensen, Bethany Clark. Shout out to the highest percentage increase so far. GCI earned on a team: Janine Warner, Steph Miller, Ginger Lazovic, Maggie Drain, Will Stalle, Martha Oler, Casey Lopez, Megan Stalle, Steph Minnick, Kirsten Lindstrom, Kathy Shaw, Laura Brewster, Holly Gamblin, Catherine Eaglehoff, and Katie Hart. Congrats on GCI for those on teams. Now, May, individual volume: Molitor leading the way, Abby Wall, Bridget Ty, Robin McCormick, Kristen Stahulik, Mara, Carla Florence, Ross Treffert, Doreen Drummel, Jean Jaskowski, Nolan, Ethan, Bethany Clark, Tracy, Sarah Reardon, Jill Fink, Elena Zeman, Amy Merrick, Lindsay Andrews, Catherine Cario, rounding out the top 15. Here's the coolest part about it: there's not a person on this list that didn't hit over $1 million in the month of May for individual agents. So congrats for those in May. Year-to-date individual units. Again, the market gives you volume. Agents control their units. Lori Sroke leading the way. John Molitor, Abby Wall, Joey Carini, Bridget Ty, Kristen Stahulik, Nick Fetting, Demara Bolton, Lindsay Andrews, Jean Jaskowski, Ethan Masson, Kevin Matson. Kevin, shout out to you, brother. You're having a huge year. Sarah Oberbrunner, Sarah Reardon, Jessica Hanawi, Mara Krieger, Elena Zeman, Steve Law, Becky Thomas, and Jordan Shelton rounding out the top 15. And here you go, year to date for individual volume. I'll read you the top 3: Bridget Ty, John Monitor, Kristen Stahulik, and Jean Jaskowski, Robin McCormick, Abby Wall, Lori Sroke, Ethan Masson, Kevin Matson, Joey Carini, Sarah Reardon, Becky Thomas, Jessica Hanawi, Betsy Williamson, Mara Krieger, Demara, Elena, Sarah, Steve Law, Carla. Okay, I'm reading these intentionally. To give you guys who it is that you inspire, or who you aspire to be, and who you're chasing, because it is important to recognize the level of productivity amongst the group so that you can learn and lean on each other during these times. Now, May team volume: JSG leading the way, Falk, Reuven, Gallagher, Stalle, Miller, Marriott, Double Bolt, Team Trimble, Sayers team, Desties, Duval, Root River, Fair Hinton, PPG, MTM Collective, Champagne, Jeff Johns, On Point, Gallagher Lake Country, Kindred, Sig, and Nancy Brennan. Again, if you just look at this one singular month, a lot of people would be very satisfied with this in one year, let alone 1 month. Now, year-to-date team units, JSG leading the way, Root River right on its heels, Falk Grooven, Miller Marriott, Stalle, PPG, On Point, Enlighten, Levine, Desties, Duval, A Key Home, Fernwood, Fairhinton, Jeff Johns, MTM, Gossman, Champaign, Team Trimble, Flanagan Group, and the Holt team out of Madison. So for year-to-date units. Now, year-to-date team volume, JSG with FRG right there, SRG behind it, Miller Marriott, Root River, Desties, On Point, PPG, Team Trimble, Duval Group, Fairhinton, Enlighten, Fernwood, Double Bolt, Gallagher, A Key Home, the Sayers, Jeff Johns, Gossman, and Champaign Realty Group so far for year-to-date team volumes. Guys, it's an incredibly impressive group. It's collective. So I want to share with you an observation I've had in a lot of conversations I've had with agents, internal and external. Okay. And I'm feeling a bit of a sense of mental fatigue. You're in June, you're running through the rat race of the spring market, kids are out of school, you're trying to figure, I don't know, you got babysitter issues like me, you got, camps here, you got, I don't know, maybe you're dealing with some health issues or your loved one's dealing with the health issues. And it just feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders sitting here on June 18th. Okay. I'm very much getting that sense. Oh, by the way, we have this like whole commission lawsuit thing and everybody's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I'm feeling that sense from the industry. And mind you, I have conversations with people in all companies every day, right? My job is to understand perspective. And I want to challenge you guys with something because I'm starting to notice a bit of a trend in some folks. And the mental fatigue and the pressure and the thing and everything in life is starting to wear on people. And I think that they've lost sight on something very simple and basic that I want to walk you through. Okay. And it's a very simple, easy model that you have to think through. On the x-axis, on the x and y-axis, on the x-axis, you have actions and habits. Okay? You have actions and habits. And on the y-axis, you have money. Now, the challenge I see when I come across a lot of people is they want to focus on the money aspect before they want to focus on the action aspect. And so they have $1 million dreams with an average minimum wage work ethic. Okay? And there's a mismatch or alignment as to where they desire to go and where they desire to be in terms of the way in which they show up because they're feeling the pressure and the weight and everything else that's going on in life. And so my question for you is not what it is that you desire to earn this year. It's where do you feel as if your actions and habits sit on your x-axis based on your potential and your capacity? Because what ultimately happens is your income shows up in a direct correlation based on your actions and habits. And my question for the group sitting here on June 18th is, are you satisfied with the box that you are in? Are you satisfied with the box that you're in? It's a pretty simple question. Now, I want to challenge you in thoughts and something. I think Twitter is one of the best inventions ever. And it's interesting the cesspool that shows up on Twitter, and I won't focus on that. But the observations and the people and the thoughts that you get access to on Twitter is amazingly insightful as to some of the most progressive thought thinkers in the world because they're sharing their thoughts in real time that anyone has access to. Okay. And the challenge I would think with is this person's somewhat controversial, I think, but they're truly, I think, revolutionizing the world right now in terms of Elon Musk. And I have 2 or 3 friends that work in organizations in Elon's environment at SpaceX. Cooper Hennick being one of them. He's a local Whitefish Bay kid. Some of you know Cooper. And what's interesting about Cooper in talking about what it's like to work in one of his environments, or I know somebody who works at Twitter, and interestingly, when Elon took over Twitter, he fired 40% of the workforce, but yet productivity went up by 60%. Right? And what the observation is that Elon, it could be Gary Keller, it could be anybody, they sit on the x-axis and they think about massive action and consistent habits. They don't think about what the end game of their income is related to the actions and habits. But what ultimately shows up is an income that's so extreme, it's hard to fathom. But who they are as people are so extreme, it's hard to fathom. And so they create this box that looks like this. And I think sometimes as a group, we get so caught up in what our goals say and what's written down and what are we trying to achieve from an income standpoint. And what we're actually misaligned in is what are our action and habits and how do we achieve what our actions and habits are consistently. It's no different than if you're on a health journey. What are your actions and habits if you're on a health journey? Who do you need to be and who do you need to become in order for you to live your best life into, I don't know, if you want to live to 100? Because the y-axis on your health journey is how long you live, what your health metrics look like, everything else. It's a very parallel correlative thought in terms of a model. But you have to think about your actions and habits first. And then you can think about the y-axis, whatever the y-axis is for you. I just happen to choose money in this example. Okay? You have to think about your actions and habits first to then think about the output, which is your y-axis. Okay? And so I'm going to challenge the group in something because there's also something I've noticed that the mental resistance and fortitude right now is somewhat weak. Okay? And I'm going to challenge you with something that I think will be an interesting observation for the group. I'm going to challenge you for the back half of the year to sit in your thoughts for 1 minute. Not on your phones, not on your computers, not fidgeting and thinking about what you're going to have for lunch. I would challenge you to sit and think in your thoughts for 1 minute. For 1 minute. And I'm going to put a timer up to show you how long a minute is when you're actually fully present in your thoughts. Because on average, a person has 70,000 thoughts a day. I just heard that over the weekend. 70,000 thoughts a day. And the ability to remain present, to have mental resistance, is a key metric that I think a lot of us are lacking right now in order for us to continue to keep going forward and being present. So I'm going to challenge you for a minute. Ready? Go. My guess is that was the longest minute you've spent thinking in a long time. Okay? And here's my challenge to the group. We don't spend enough time in our thoughts thinking about our actions and what the output of our actions and being consistent in our habits is. And so I will leave you with this in terms of my challenge for the group is we have to continue to be mentally resistant people in order to serve our clients and serve our families and serve our loved ones at the highest level. Jeff talked about it at his training in June. How do you flip the switch so that when you come home, you don't carry your transactions into your dining room? When you walk into the office, how do you not carry the client that just lit you up into your interaction with a co-broke that you're having on a different deal? And my challenge to the group heading into the last 6 months of the year is, what actions and habits do you need to take or adopt? And how do you write it down? How do you share it with those that you love that will hold you accountable? And what triggers do you have to hold you accountable to continue to want to do it? And if you spent 1 minute a day being fully present in what it is that you need to do, I think you will change. I think you will see your arc curve and put you into a different box. But it takes the mental resistance to slow down in order to see that. Fair? Now I'll leave you with this. How do you develop it and what does that look like? I'll share with you someone that I follow very closely, and I will warn you, he uses a little bit of some curt language only once. But I think his point is very appropriate with where we sit right now in June in the energy I feel from the group. So
have to keep attacking. The enemy has to know he is not going to give up. You must break the soul of whatever the fuck is in front of you. If you keep on attacking something, nothing wants to stand in front of anything that is relentless. Have to keep attacking. The enemy has to know he is not going to give up. You must break the soul of whatever the fuck is in front of you. If you keep on attacking something, nothing wants to stand in front of anything that is relentless.
nothing wants to stand in front of anything that's relentless. So if you want to understand what it is that you need to take, I get questions a lot in terms of reading suggestions. There's a great book that David Goggins wrote. It's all about Can't Hurt Me. It's about his journey from going from basically 400 pounds to becoming a Navy SEAL. And now he's like the ultra marathon, does all these things. And it's incredibly powerful to think about the power of consistency in your actions. So share that with the group there, because I think the group needs to develop that mental resistance and mental capacity to continue to fight through to earn what it is that you desire to earn this year in 2024. Fair? All right. With that, a couple of training and education updates. Here's my challenge to the group. Ignite is coming back in July. If you have not registered, you are missing out, because you get to learn from an incredible group of folks who get to share with you an incredible diverse perspectives around this industry and how it is that they've built their businesses, and then what it is that they do, how they do it, and make it your own. If you haven't registered for Ignite yet, doesn't matter whether you're sitting at 0 production, 5 million, or 10 million in production, everyone can learn from the diversity of thought and diversity of approach from the group. Highly, highly recommend you jumping into Ignite during the entire month of July, and highly encourage it. Next up, yesterday, a little bit of a highlight. We had the Ladies' Day Off out at Heiliger Eagle Ski Club out in Richfield. It was an incredible day. Had about 70 ladies out there. Just again, remaining present and being with each other in a way outside that kind of give back to each other and fostering a sense of community. So wanted to highlight that, and congrats to the group that made it out there. Next up, our June training calendar is a reminder. Offices will be closed in observance of Juneteenth Day tomorrow, and Maureen and friends will be on just via Zoom at 10 a.m. on Friday. Stay tuned for a high-end luxury agent. Next, get leads, work leads, close leads. How are you communicating? Last week, Eric did an incredible training down in Southwest with an incredible group helping you understand your communication styles. He's doing it again on the 20th at Innovation at 2 p.m. If you're struggling in understanding your conversion, you might have a communication misalignment. Eric helps you identify where your misalignment might be and help you pour into that. Next up, it's not average camp, it's mega camp. Okay. It's not average camp, it's mega camp. It is back to the basics in order to create forward success. It is August 12th to the 15th in Austin, Texas. I'll be honest with you, mega camp is not for everybody. It's not. The thoughts in that room are so big and so diverse that it's hard sometimes for people to relate to. That's my fair warning. And if you have a desire to build a huge business and spend some time with some incredible people and developing an incredible network in an incredible city, might you add, in the middle of August in Austin, join the group at Mega Camp the 12th to the 15th. So we'll see you in August in Austin at Mega Camp. All right, Lieutenant, we have some compliance updates for these guys coming up for some of the industry changes that'll be happening between now and August. What do these guys need to know?
Hi, good morning. I was thrown off a little bit here. All right. You guys know that the WRA was not going to let us down. So new and revised forms are coming. We don't have exactly what the new edits are going to be. We just have an announcement that the offer to purchases are going to be revised, as well as the listing contracts and the buyer agency agreements. And then, of course, this is what we kind of all were hoping for and waiting for. The WRA is also developing a pre-agency showing agreement form that will be available for us for buyers who are about to tour a home, and then a revised compensation agreement for documenting the acceptance of off MLS offers of compensation. So Like I said, they're all coming. Optional use date for the contracts are going to be July 1st, but then a required use date of August 15th. So look for that, and we'll go over all of this again when they come out, of course. So next up, so Charlie mentioned last week kind of two approaches to kind of covering ourselves between now and August 15th to help make sure that we are going to be compensated per the terms of the MLS compensation. So one approach, of course, again, is just including right into the offer that on behalf of the buyer, the seller is going to compensate the buyer's agent blank percentage of the purchase price at closing, or the compensation agreement, which I just wanted to go over kind of more in detail for you all. It is in the forms library, so it is a WRA form and it's labeled compensation agreement. I did last night go ahead and add them to our offer packets in zip forms, so they're there. But then for those of you who might have your own zip forms templates set up, you can go ahead and grab them from the forms library. This is the bottom half of the compensation agreement. The top half of it is really straightforward, just filling in information. But I just put in an example here of what we're trying to achieve. And that's basically just, again, reconfirming what's already stated in the MLS, what our compensation is going to be and when it's going to be paid. So at closing, 2.4% of the purchase price. The agreement is in effect until closing happens. So again, we're just doubling down, making sure that if something closes after August 17th, but gotten an accepted offer prior to that date, this will help cover us. And this is an agreement between us and the co-broke firm. So just wanted to point
Crossing our T's, dotting our I's.
Absolutely. And then, just another reminder for everybody. So CE, continuing education coursework, is due this December. I highly encourage you guys just to take the classes through the WRA. And to show you again where that's at, next slide. It's under the education tab. You'll scroll right to the continuing ed tab as well, and then real estate CE. And there's a number of ways that you can take the course, but we just suggest go ahead to the next slide, Charlie. Going ahead and doing it on demand, the quickest way to get it done. So, and as we all know, some of us will just do it December 13th, all in one sitting. But
Don't be on that list.
But don't be on that
Because
list.
I think I say this every other year. You know what will happen? January 6th, I'll get an email and saying, oh my God, my MLS is shut off. What did you do? And I'll say, I didn't do anything. It's what you didn't do. So we gonna get the continuing ed done? Roger. All right.
All right, thank you.
With that, thank you, Lieutenant. Over and out. With that, I'm flipping it over to Lindsay, who's got a quick tech and marketing update for the group.
All right. Yes. Hello, everybody. Okay. So just a couple of things this morning. Now I know we talk about our website all the time. If you have not bookmarked this already, highly encourage you to do that on your computer or on your phone, wherever you need to access this. But I just wanted to go through a couple of different things on here. Basically, everything that we provide as a resource is on this website. And I know that includes a lot. And so it can be sometimes a daunting task, especially if you're a new agent and you go on here and you're like, okay, where do I find this or that? Or, there's so many different things. So we did add a search feature on the website. So it's right up here in the upper left corner. So if you're on the website, on the homepage, on any page, you can go up here and you can search. So if let's say you have a closing at the Wauwatosa office and you need to find that address, you can easily search for Wauwatosa, if I can spell that right. And if you search for that on here, you're going to get search results. Or maybe, oh, I need to reach out to Charlie Stalle. Well, here we go. Here's the leadership team with everyone's contact information. Or maybe, hey, I heard a little bit about that Key Please app. I need to find out more about that. How do I download that? Search Key Please, and you'll find the showing assistance page as well with ways that you can download it. The other thing I want to point out is under the locations tab, if anyone needs to schedule a conference room, this is where you're going to find those links. So for each office, you will see reserve a conference room, these buttons underneath each section. And so that's going to link to each individual office SCADA page where you can reserve a conference room. So keep that in mind. This is also a great resource if you were looking for a specific office's phone number, email address. If you need the tax ID number, the firm license number, these are all of this information is listed on here. So again, utilize that search feature, especially if you're looking for anything specific. But again, if you can't find something, reach out to me. I'm happy to help direct you as well. All right, so I'm going to go back to slide deck. Sorry, what was that?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, perfect. All right. Okay, so huge shout out to Tom Barrett on JSG. We had a really successful realtor refresh day last week, Wednesday at Lakeshore Commons. So we had about close to 50 agents get a brand new headshot. They were a lifestyle shoot type of headshot day that we did at this beautiful home at Lakeshore Commons. So huge shout out to Tom. Thank you to JSG for letting us utilize Lakeshore Commons. And thank you everyone who attended. We had a great day. It was hot, but it was wonderful. So again, thank you guys so much. I'm really excited to see everyone's new headshot. So. And then last thing that I have, we have social media boot camp coming up this Thursday. I'm really excited. We've got Abigail Jacqua coming as our special guest. She's going to talk about all about how she utilizes social media. And she gets actually, you guys, 85% of her business comes directly from social media. So if you don't follow her on Instagram, do so now. Her handle is moved to Milwaukee. She does an excellent job at engaging an audience and providing really great content. So she's going to talk all about how does she do that? How does she get 85% of her business to come through from Instagram, from her social media accounts? So this is going to be in the Tosta office as always, but we do have a Zoom option as well. So if you can't make it in person to learn more from Abigail, you can always click the link on our training calendar. That'll get you into the Zoom to be part of that training. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Linz. Guys, we've had three things come at you, and the reason why I led with mental resistance, fortitude, and consistency is it all starts with your actions and habits. Actions and habits, actions and habits. What are your actions and habits as it relates to how the industry is changing? What are your actions and habits in terms of pouring into your training and education? What is your actions and habits in terms of how you're implementing new marketing strategies in order for you to get desired outcomes? Actions and habits, actions and habits, actions and habits. Now, I'm going to finish with a little bit of a follow-up from last week's Market Insights. In last week's Market Insights, I shared how I noticed some interesting trends happening with our industry. So then I looked in terms of the first 2 to 3 weeks within the month of June, what it is, are we seeing a consistent trend, or was it an anomaly based on what's going on in June? And I shared with you the grocery store market of the moment script that always leads from a place of abundance and positivity. Because we have enough negativity in the news cycle right now, we should always be leading with positivity and abundance. And I shared with you how you can lead by educating your clients when you run into them at the grocery store, how the market is interacting or reacting. And I get the question almost every single day. Okay. How you answer that, what this looks like is what I try to provide to you. Okay. Now, I took a look on a weekly basis over the last 6 months just to see similar trends. And I want to be proactive in this communication versus waiting another 2 or 3 weeks to bring this forth. Okay. What you'll see here is the weekly units basis for 2 items. New units coming to the market is the red line and the red graph. The red line is the trend line based on the graphs. The blue lines are units that are going under contract. Interestingly to note, okay, it's not bad news. It's probably good news, or good news, real news. The good news is total inventory is climbing. The real news is, yes, demand is leveling off, because what you see in the most simplistic way possible is you aren't seeing the blue line trend at the same trend line that new listing inventory is coming to the market. So I share that with you to say, yep, we got to pay attention. And it's not the end of the world, because we could use some inventory relief in terms of total inventory on the market. And it's not as if the sky is falling, because prices are still appreciating. So the value of the real estate is still very healthy. It's just probably right sizing at this moment, which typically historically is the apex of the market. And the reason why I did a follow-up to last week's conversation is I wanted to say, look, in the first 2 to 3 weeks in June, are we seeing a very similar trend? And I will tell you that the trend is continuing. So my challenge to you as a listing agent is you have to be proactive in your communication. You have to be right-size expectations. When you overpromise and underdeliver is when you get expired very quickly and somebody else has the opportunity to come in and be second place. And on the demand side of the equation and representing buyers, yes, there is more opportunity in the market because inventory has risen, and the rate at which that it's coming off the market is actually not what it was, which is actually increasing inventory levels. Now, the reason why it may not feel that way is because inventory has continued to remain so suppressed for so long that there's going to take some time for that to come back. But it's a demand trend that we're paying attention to. Make sense? All right. With that, guys, it's a beautiful day in Milwaukee. It's a beautiful day for you guys to be productive. It's a beautiful day to love your families. Guys, have a great day. Thanks for showing up. The world is run by those who show up. Have a great day, guys.